Hello, everybody.
Everybody.
Oh, I couldn't hear you for a second. Welcome to What Makes You Happy? Like, really, really happy. With my friend Monica Gilliam and me, Allison.
Alison, what makes you happy? Like really, really happy?
I was thinking about this and then I got overwhelmed, which makes me happy. I'm like, I don't know, so many things. Uh, but I was thinking about this and I was like, what makes me happy? And one of the things that makes me happy is actually hanging out with you and people that have no judgment and things that have no judgment. And having no judgment myself, I can't help but be happy. So I'm so happy that we're over here in the judgment-free zone. Whew.
Well, I have a little story to tell.
Yes, tell us the story.
So, as I was growing up, I there was a lot of kind of trauma in my younger life. There was a lot of people in my life who had a lot of really difficult stuff going on. And I thought the way that I could show people that I care about them was to be as upset as they were. If they were miserable, that I would have to be miserable, because if I was happy when they were sad, that would be wrong. And then it was at a certain point in my 20s that I realized that, like, wait a minute, I actually like being happy. And it never really helped anybody for me to be sad. And then I realized that, like, I know my own sense of humor better than anybody else. Like, I don't even have to wait for 1 second for me to understand my own jokes and to laugh at them. And so then I was like, I could just laugh all day. I could just tell myself jokes all day and maybe nobody else would ever even understand them, but I can just laugh. And so then I started being like, okay, how many jokes can I tell today? How many jokes can I laugh at? And that makes me really happy, and getting to like play with people. Definitely what you said, Allison, like when I'm with people or things or situations where there's no judgment, there's like there's just this energy of space for me to kind of be free and to play, which is, I'm highly motivated by play, so allowing myself to play is really, really a space that makes me happy. And it allows me also to really like be inventive and to go into a situation that might seem difficult and to find a way through it. And as I do that, I get to discover me. I like get to discover my own sense of humor even more as I play. So, with this whole idea of like being you and the judgment free zone, that like the more that you be you, and the more that you discover what it is that's true for you, the more like the more room there is to be happy, like really, really happy. So that's my little story that I wanted to share.
I love
And
it. And I think
yeah,
I totally get and have done and still do, like when you can't be happy or when you're not supposed to be happy around other people, I should say. Like, I'm sure a lot of you have had that experience. It's called going outside around people, where if you're too happy in a restaurant, I've had friends. I'm like, was it us? I think we've had friends who like got kicked out of a restaurant for laughing too much, or we've almost gotten in fights like with this big guy that like wanted to attack us because we were laughing. And sometimes people just do not, for whatever reason, like being really happy. It kind of goes against the rules of how one was raised. Like you were saying, Monica, how you were raised. And I know I was definitely too much growing up, getting in trouble for talking to the people that I liked in class. I'm like, well, here's my best friend. He's in my class. He's sitting right next to me. I'm gonna talk to him a lot. And I didn't even realize I was talking to him out loud in class. I'm sorry. Oh, now we're separated. Okay. So as you grow older, you learn, either to shut that down and become, normal, not you, controllable, calm. And I love that you said, like, I have my own jokes in my head, like, and nobody else has to get them. And I get to make them up and get them as fast as I want to. And I'd say that's one of the things that makes me so happy too, is to basically make fun of or bring light to everything. I hate feeling crappy. It's annoying. It doesn't feel good. It's not my style. And yes, sometimes I get caught up in the trauma and the drama of the thing. And then usually if I ask questions, I'm like, one of the tools I use a lot to get out of the crap and into the hap is, sorry, translators, is don't say hap, um, is to ask, okay, am I trying to be right about something here or make someone wrong about something? And that really helps me get out of making anyone like having to be right or being the victim because that person hurt me. And it really helps in relationship, let me tell you. But acknowledging if you're trying to make someone wrong or right, instead of, okay, if I wasn't making anyone wrong or right here, what else could I choose? What would create greater for the future? How could I, make my bed for the future? Basically, like, if you make your bed in the morning, it's going to be so lovely to sleep in at night. And so every day I'm constantly thinking or asking questions of, like, all right, what could I choose today that's going to create a greater future, a more beautiful bed tomorrow? And so, asking that and also joking about things in my head to myself if I don't have Monica or someone around who loves laughing about everything, or asking for more people like that to show up in your life. I just make light of it. It's like, wow, how did I get so lucky to be able to be such a dork that loves to laugh at everything. And I get to be happy whether anybody else is comfortable with it or likes it.
Yeah, and that's such a cool thing too. You mentioned before that like you were too much and that like kind of out of control. And that's the thing, is that when you're truly joyful, when you're really like being you and just exploding into the universe, it's not very controllable. And there's something that I love that you have showed me, Allison, which is happiness torture. Like, that's the first time that I ever came across that term. Allison would be like, ooh, happiness torture. Like, that people sometimes will feel tortured by happiness. And I didn't realize how many rules I was functioning from to not torture people, to not be anything that was beyond what they were comfortable with and what they were trying to control. And that my joy could seem disruptive to people, but actually when I get really present with it, that joy has the ability to change situations, and to change situations in a way that I would like, making my bed for the future. Like, I actually would love to live in a world where the people are happy. I've noticed that when people are really miserable, they tend to be really kind of self-obsessed and fixated on things and not really have a sense of the bigger picture that can include everybody. But when they're like happy, it's almost like their eyes are open and it's easier to talk to them. And sometimes being really happy like jostles things out of where it's trying to be controlled. And so even just the idea of happiness torture was something that was like such a gift to me, because I had to let myself go beyond where I thought that it was wrong for me to be happy, that it would actually harm somebody. And just to be like, well, what if they're just tortured, which was like so bad and wrong that it was funny, like tortured by happiness. Okay, I'll go ahead and torture this person with my happiness. And it's just interesting what it creates. Like you said, there was, a moment where I was laughing wildly and somebody came over and said, don't do that. And
You're
actually,
wrong.
I know you're wrong. And also, I'm just remembering I was in Argentina last year and I went to a cemetery. And, people are like, we're at the cemetery. There's a certain way that you're supposed to be at the cemetery. And we got over to Evita's grave area. And I was with some lovely people and we were laughing. And there was like nobody there. And I was just laughing. And this person came over, like a caretaker, and he said, don't laugh. And I was like, I thought that was the funniest thing. Like, it's like, don't think about an elephant. And then you're like, how many elephants can I think about? So,
I have an elephant. Oh, wait.
don't laugh. Immediately, my response was, so funny. And then I realized he was really serious. And then I just laughed in his face. And it infuriated him. And he was like, stop it. And I basically was like, no, I will laugh. There's nothing greater than laughing. And you don't get to stop me from laughing. And I just, I kind of was like, does this person actually have any real authority? And he didn't, but he was so mad. And he was like, it was like we were in a fight and I was there with joy to respond to this situation. And he went away and he like tried to kind of tell the guards on me and they were just like, nothing. And it was amazing for me to be like, kind of like I said, I desire to be in a world of joy. And so sometimes I have to make the choice to actively not stop it, even if it makes somebody uncomfortable. And, to be willing to go beyond the judgment that I've let control me and to be like, sometimes it can seem like with the happiness torture, sometimes it can seem aggressive to be willing to take up so much space that you are joyful. And it's been something that I've had to like really support myself and being like, you know what, no matter what, I'm not going to stop me from creating the world that I would like. I'm not going to let somebody else come in and say, no, we need the world to be less joyful. And we're starting with you. And you should be the one to calm down. At this point, I'm not in elementary school anymore, and I don't need to be controlled. And so the joy that I bring is a gift to me. And I've seen it be a gift to the world, even when people would like to fight it. So
Right. Yes. And I love that's so cool. And I love too that there's different ways like of being happy too, because we've talked about the laughing part, which feels so good and it's fun and it's like a workout and it's amazing. And I also know that you in particular and me have like different versions of not different versions, but different parts and pieces of us that make us whole, which can also include like silence and really, I would say like, totally being present with something and relaxing into it, which can also, you can be judged a lot for that too. When you're silent, like I know when I go on long trips or when I'm around horses, or I would just like to stare out the window or be like in the forest or just be quiet and just really be present with an animal or a plant or just where I'm at or my body, that even being in silence, relaxing can be uncomfortable for people. And sometimes they want to fill that silence in with talking, or people want to be around you and you don't want to be around anybody else. But I'd say when you do that, when you choose the happiness torture of taking time out for you, or just being quiet around other people, or just leaving and having your own space, that for me really makes me happy too. Just saying. I wanted to throw that in there.
Love that. Yeah. And there's sometimes when I'm not happy and not laughing and have no idea, like there have been a couple times where I've been like, I don't think I'll ever laugh again. That was it. Everything is so horrible when I'm like, something is kind of in my world. Maybe it's something that I'm aware of that I am not really clear about. And I am really like, oh, I call Allison Cox. I call the people
Monica.
who remind me of different possibilities. And I cannot tell you how many times Allison has to remind me this. She's like, if something's heavy, it's huh? And it's like, oh, it's not true. Oh, and if something's true for you, it's huh? Oh, it's right. And like there are so many times that just that really helps me out. It's like when something's like really off and you just don't seem to be able to like have that sense of the like peace of just being quiet and relaxing, that like something's kind of getting your attention. And when you're putting your attention on something that's not even true for you, it'll be really like contracted. And so just being reminded of that has been such a gift for me, like even last week, like, oh, okay. So
Yesterday.
yeah, it's like, yeah. And all the time. So like if I am really trying to like figure something out and it's just not like I'm not able to laugh, there's a lot of judgment in me and I'm just like kind of stuck in it. I can just recognize that all of the aspects that are really heavy, they're just simply not true for me. And so I can just let go of that. And, how do you let go of that? It's not really so much of a how as it is like a choice to say, okay, am I going to keep on focusing in on the thing that is like creating this confusion and twist and contraction? Or am I going to just like relax and ask for what is true for me to show up even more? And that has this kind of transformative effect of bringing that joy into my world, or at least easing up where I'm being kind of weird.
Absolutely. Yeah, we get to happiness torture ourselves. It's like it's the worst and the best. Because like the most annoying thing that has ever stuck in my head what is happiness is just a choice. And I'm like, what? Why can't something do it for me? um and Gary Douglas and Dr. Dain Heer, they have done a class called Happiness is Just a Choice, which many people haven't listened to, and I haven't either, but I will. And I will. That's my target for this month, to go get that class. But there are so many tools, including the Being You book. So, what if happiness was a choice? And I remind myself that my circle will come into a story eventually. um, Makes sense. So when I like yesterday, I was in the stuck in the yuck and the WTF, and I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, okay, if this is just a choice, it doesn't feel like a choice, but it feels like I'm pissed and I'm right, and person is wrong. But if this is just a choice to actually be happy in this situation too, that's happening to me, what the heck do I need to ask, pock and pod, acknowledge, that is going to crack open some space and a different possibility for me? And one of the greatest tools, if you can't think of anything, if you haven't memorized every single tool in Access Consciousness, open up your Being You book and just read a page. Because there's gonna be something that you're gonna use. There's gonna be something. It's gonna be the thing that you need that is on that page that you open, and then maybe another one, but and another one and another one. But it's like, oh, and I'm like, fine. Like even last night, I was like, well, I just need to speak my truth just a little bit, and then I'll be happy afterwards. That didn't go too well. I was like, all right, next time, just choose happiness for me, and I think that will be a lot more fun. And so I just started pock and potting. You can go to the clearingstatement.com if you don't know what the clearing statement is or what pock and pod is. And I just started asking, okay, I destroyed and uncreated my relationship, which you can learn about in the Being You book too. And once you do all of these things, you get rid of the solid stuff that seems impossible, is literally torturous to get through. If you just start using the tools, at least for me, it starts to open up a space where all of that stuff just sort of seems to fizzle away. Oh, and I was getting my bars run at the same time with the person I was angry at too. The person I was angry at was running my bars while I was telling them how wrong they were. And then we used the tools in the book and then we liked each other afterwards. And so if it is a choice, if you dare to adventure into the journey of choosing happiness and doing whatever it takes to get there, not that it's going to happen to you. And I know this is what makes you happy, what makes you really, really happy, but how can you be you and, choose beyond the crap? You being you is happy. And so if there's anything that isn't that, if you're not light, if you feel crunched up, scrunched up, yuck, stuck, WTF, I don't know, the F word, then you know that you're either aware of a lie, you're functioning from a lie, or you're inventing a trauma and drama, or you're trying to like take care of someone else's lie that they're functioning from or problem that isn't actually relevant to you. So you being happy is actually going to contribute to others shifting and changing whatever is not making them happy, because you're not going to be the thing that helps make that solid thing real. You being space, you literally change the world by allowing others to not make those lies real either if they choose.
And with that, that we're in the tool segment here. Another thing that I find to be really like a cool hack, if you're really stuck in judgment, like judgment and gratitude, they can't really coexist. Like I dare you to try and have judgment and gratitude coexist at the same time. It's kind of like, that thing. And I haven't yet been able to do it, but maybe somebody else is. But my hypothesis and what I've been introduced to is this recognition that judgment and gratitude don't really exist at the same time. So if you're in a lot of judgment of anything, yourself, someone else, if you desire to change that and to have the like ease and space of happiness, to allow happiness to be a choice for you, you can begin to ask, okay, what can I be grateful for here? And it may be like, well, I'm grateful that I'm breathing right now. Or I'm grateful that I don't have to talk to this person all the time. Or, you can start wherever you start and just nurture that. And as you nurture that gratitude, just explore and see what it is that creates. How does that impact where everything is kind of stuck, or where you're like, I'm right, you're wrong, And maybe sometimes like, I'm right, you're wrong is fun for you. And you can really you can just
Especially if
really
you're usually right. Oh,
especially if you're usually right, then it's fun to be right again. You never get bored with being right. But what is it that that creates, you know? And so then you get to look at, you know, if I'm really stuck in being right here and the judgment that I'm right, you're wrong, is that allowing for things to shift and change? Is that allowing for that person to finally not be wrong like they always are? Or or is that just like maintaining that same kind of structure that you will be trapped in just as much as anybody else? And like, if you would like to make a different choice, if you can just kind of start to play around with, you know, what can I be grateful for here? What can I laugh at? How can I happiness torture this situation? How can I disrupt this with these different tools that I have to be so out of control that even this thing that is so rigid and solid becomes less solid? So there are so many tools, and you know, ultimately, like Allison was saying, you know, that like you being you actually is happy, and it may be that that doesn't even seem like, it's like, what are you talking about? What is being me? I am wrong, so why would I want to be that? You know, allowing yourself to explore the like the judgment free zone, the
yes.
possibility to let go of the judgment can allow you to really discover more and more of what you actually be beyond the judgment. And then maybe you'll find things that make you even more happy or tickle you or bring a smile to your face or even just give you that space of,
Yeah. When you're judging, you always know how terrible you are or you're gonna be. When you're not judging you, you have total freedom.
yeah, ew, gross, that freedom. Little
Ew.
like with freedom, yuck, boo, boo, boo.
Oh, awesome. This was fun. This
Yeah,
makes me
thank you
happy,
so
really, really
much.
happy.
I'm happy now too. Uh-oh. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna just like run around in circles by myself.